Tuhan ialah membaca, menuntut ilmu di seluruh budaya.
Inilah teladan sepanjang masa, gayakan hidup dengan membaca. Apalah nama andai tanpa ilmu, apalah mahkota permatanya palsu. Tanpa membaca cacatlah minda, tanpa ilmu kemanalah kita. Jika ilmu pernah di dada, bila bergaya dengan membaca.
Dunia sempit menjadi luas, tempat kejayaan tiada terbatas. Negara yang kecil, tinggi martabat, kerana ilmu negara berdaulat.
Mari kawan, kita membaca. Mari silakan timba ilmu dengan membaca. Inilah perjuangan, sambutlah seruan.
Jadikan
membaca gaya wawasan. Everybody take a book and read to gain knowledge. Everyone has to read. Let's reach out, open up your mind.
let's make reading
A lifestyle of wawasan. Mari kawan, kita membaca. Mari silakan timba ilmu dengan membaca. Inilah perjuangan, sambutlah seruan.
jadikan
Membaca gaya wawasan. Everybody take a book and read to gain knowledge. Everyone has to read. Let's reach out, open up your mind.
let's make reading
A lifestyle of wawasan. Mari kawan, kita membaca. Mari silakan timba ilmu dengan membaca. Inilah perjuangan, sambutlah seruan.
jadikan
Membaca gaya wawasan.
Pandai-pandai, halang kebukuan. Bacalah sampai pandai, buku-buku berbaca ilmu. Santang lemak manis, santang kelapa muda. Jangan anak menangis, kalau anak suruh membaca.
Lifestyle of wawasan. Mari kawan, kita membaca. Mari silakan timba ilmu dengan membaca. Inilah perjuangan, sambutlah seruan.
jadikan
Membaca gaya wawasan. Everybody take a book and kebanggaan semua, menyeluruh hidup jaya. Berbagai maklumat terkumpul sedia, berkhidmat setia, berbakti pada rakyat Malaysia dan menetap tenang. Perpustakaan negara Malaysia, menggerak budaya membaca. Berbagai hazanah yang ada, pusaka warisan bangsa. Rakyat yang berilmu akan terus maju, gunakan sumber ilmu. Bersama kita membina minda, wawasan jadi nyata. Bagai api obor memberi cahaya, perpustakaan kita menjadi kebanggaan semua, menyeluruh hidup jaya. Berbagai maklumat sedia, berkhidmat setia, berbakti pada rakyat Malaysia dan menetap tenang. Perpustakaan negara Malaysia, menggerak budaya membaca. Berbagai hazanah yang ada, pusaka warisan bangsa. Rakyat yang berilmu akan terus maju, gunakan sumber ilmu. Bersama kita membina minda, wawasan jadi nyata. Wawasan jadi nyata.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the International Storytelling Festival Malaysia, ISFM 2021. On behalf of the National Library of Malaysia, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. We appreciate you taking time off your busy schedule to join us today. We hope you have enjoyed the festival so far and also find this afternoon session interesting and useful. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned earlier in the morning session, the International Storytelling Festival Malaysia 2021 is derived from the spirit to uphold the dignity of folklore art, culture and heritage by providing a variety of exciting and interesting activities to participants. There are 5 main activities in this festival, which are first, corporate storytelling, second, Tech on the Go with 4 agencies under Ministry of Tourism, Art and Culture Malaysia, third, storytelling competition, fourth, storytelling technique workshop, and last, storytelling session from 11 representative countries. Tech on the Go was conducted yesterday, but all of you can still watch it on the National Library of Malaysia YouTube channel. We also had our first session of storytelling technique workshop this morning, which is interactive storytelling workshop. Now we will continue with our second session of storytelling technique workshop, which is read aloud storytelling workshop. For tomorrow, we will continue with another 2 storytelling technique workshop, which are prop storytelling workshop and science storytelling workshop. Then on Friday, we will have 12 storytelling sessions from 11 representative countries, which are United Kingdom, Thailand, Iran, Australia, Indonesia, Turkey, India, United States, South Korea, Japan, and Malaysia. And through this program, it is also hoped we are able to share the knowledge and experience of experts in related fields to enhance the participant knowledge and skill. Moving right along, we will start our second workshop, which is a Read Aloud Storytelling Workshop. We are honored this afternoon to welcome a very special guest, Mr. Kok Keong from Malaysia. Before we start, it is a pleasure to introduce our guest speaker. Mr. Kok Keong always mesmerized the audience with his local cultural stories since 2006. He always involved in many storytelling events and festivals such as Singapore Storytelling Festival, Penang International Storytelling Festival, and Sarawak International Storytelling Festival. His ability to tell stories in 3 different languages, English, Mandarin, and Malay language, taken him to all over the Malaysia and other countries such as Singapore, Thailand, Taiwan, and Indonesia. He also known as speaker of storytelling workshop locally and regionally that work closely with preschool teacher, parent, and young children. He is also a principal of Tadika Diana, a Montessori kindergarten. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our very special guest, Mr. Kok Keong.
Hi everybody, so my name is Kok Keong, so I am the storyteller from Malaysia. So today I would like to share with all of you one of the storytelling technique called it read aloud. So actually the way of storytelling, there are 2 ways. One we call it story reading, one we call it storytelling. So story reading, that means we read the word by word that appear or printed on the storyboard with the audible voice. And whereas the storytelling means we tell the story again using our own language. So both methods also is good for the audience, so it's up to you so which way you want to use. So some of the parents or the teachers, they prefer to use the read aloud way because they feel that this is the way where the children can pick up the language better. Now, why we call it read aloud? Why we say it's more effective? Because when the children was in the mommy's womb, so they developed 5 senses to explore this world. So one of the senses which was well developed very, very early stage was the sense of hearing. So in the womb, the baby already have the ability to listen to the mommy's voice and also to listen to the conversation between father and mother. And they can hear a lot of sound. That's why after the child was born, when they're not feeling well, and when the grandma try to cuddle and try to calm the child down, so the baby, it doesn't work at all. But when you realize that when the mother try to cuddle the child will feel calm and safe. So this is the fact, okay, where the sound, the sense of hearing for the children, they develop very, very early stage. So that's why after they were born, so they will pick up a lot of sounds of the languages that they have heard during their growing process. So from the language that the mother used to speak to them, or the language that they used by the people around them. Yeah, so all these are become input and later on become output. They would use the word when they start conversation. So there was a time when you realize that when the child was surrounded by all the adults, so when the child started to talk, they talk like a little adult. Okay, so when they have a very good environment, so they speak a very good language. But when the child was exposed to, some bad word or four-letter words or something like that, so the child will use that language as well, the words as well. So this is very important. So that's why the senses of hearing, it's one of the important senses that can help the children to develop their language. So read aloud in this context works very well, where the children look at the word pointed by the teachers or the father, mother, and then after that, they gain this so-called the vocab, and then later on, they will say it out. So one of the best way or effective way to learn language method in storytelling. So the first is we have to choose the right book, the right materials for you to use for read aloud. Now, there are so many materials, okay, so many books in the market. So some parents, they would like to know, like, which one should I choose? Should I choose a big book like this? Or if I have a choice of these two books, so which two should I choose? And why there are some of the books that have a big size like this? And why some of the books they have a long size like this? So now I would like to share with you that, okay, we talk about the sizes first. Now, sizes, it was actually according to the age group of the audience. Normally for the younger ones, so the books that they publish will be smaller size because it's difficult for the children to hold such a big book, when they want to read the book, okay? So a small size like this, just nice. And for publisher, they also consider about safety for the children to use the book. For example, can you see the round corner over here? Yeah, it shows that this book actually is safe for the children, especially, their fine motor skill, the hand muscle, they cannot really control. So they might move around and then shoot and scratch their face. So a book like this is very, very suitable for them. And some of the book, okay, of course, the big book like this is meant for the librarian or the teachers to use it when they are having a class. So when they open, then everybody can see clearly. Yeah, so it's easier, especially if you don't have the so-called projector and then you don't have PowerPoint. So this big book, very, very useful. Now, well, for the older children, so they can accept different sizes of the book. Yeah, any sizes of the book. And some of the book, the design is purposely designed this way, like long shape, because this is a story about jungle, about how to take care of the jungle, or about the sloth, environment care. And interesting part is all the trees are grow very tall, very high. So this is one of the book that to represent, to show you that, okay, trees are tall and nice. And so that's why it's the outlook, the physical look is like that. So that makes the difference of the sizes of children's picture book. And now, so beside the sizes and also the quality, the physical, for example, now this type of book is considered like board book. Okay, I would choose one of it, like a board book. Now, this is also suitable for the young one. Why? See? Board book. So 0 to 2 years old children. So these are the stage where the children, we call it, it's a stage of exploring books. So the children, you don't expect them to like hold the book and read, So it's time for them, like, for example, this is a stage where they start to grow their teeth. So they would like to bite, they would like to throw. Just now I mentioned to you 5 senses. They throw and then they hear, oh, there's a sound. It's a sound. So they will do it again. Yeah. So this is the time, yeah, you let them, yeah, expose them to the book where they can open and close and see which to explore what's hidden behind. Yeah. And then here, oh, you see, the pictures goes different. See? So they will say, oh, it's different. They will like to open and close, and also helpful for their hand muscle. So, and also, for the older one, okay, older one, and of course, physically, one more thing is like pop-up book. Let's show you, see. This is actually very interesting book where they ask you to search, ask the reader to search the sloth. Where is the sloth? The sloth is actually hidden there, hidden on one of the tree. Yeah. So they come up with many types of the books, and some of the book, yeah, the design is like a toy book for the children to play. See, and it's hiding behind here. Peekaboo. And who's hiding behind here? Peekaboo. Who's hiding behind here? Peekaboo. Interesting, right? So that's why physically, yeah, all these picture books have many variety of design. Whereas for the content, so for children 0 to 2 years old, as I say, it's only like toy book or concept book about colors, big, small, numbers, letters. And also some of the pictures book about the children how to brush their teeth. Okay, when you come to 5 and 6 years old, so they will like the content which is no repetition. The ending that is really difficult for them to predict. So that will create a suspense for them, like, okay, I don't know what's going on, what's the ending. And when it comes to 7 and 8 years old, there's the time where they want to see the good people have the good ending and the bad people have bad ending, or just like folk tales, you know, a main character in the story, they have gone through a lot of trouble. At the end, yeah, victory, they were success. Then you feel very happy. They don't like sad ending story. So these are the suitable story for a different age group. So you have to know to choose the correct book and select the correct book for the correct audience. Point number 2. So you have to practice. When you have chosen one book that you feel suitable for your children, you have to practice. And how do you practice? You have to read the book from the beginning up to the end. Yourself read aloud with audible voice where you can hear your own voice. Why? Because whatever or the way that you narrate, so that will be the outcome where the children can going to hear. Now, how are you going to make it interesting? So there are few things you have to look into. Now, number 1, do not read like monotone. You must have a feeling there. So you must put your feeling, imagine that you are one of the character screaming for help. Help! Help! And of course, you have to look at the pictures. If the bear is, you know, lying down on the ground, it's going to die, you can say, help! Help! You have to say, help! Help! Right? So, yeah. So the emotion or situation also affect the way that you narrate the story. And also the character, you must narrate using the correct voice for the correct character. For the animal or people who are bigger size, then you have to use the voice like, help, where are you going? Can you please help me? And for the tiny size animals or children, then you have to use the children sounds or the tiny sound. Help, can you please tell me, where should I go? Or even old people, old lady, the way you narrate also have to be different. Okay, can you please tell me, where should I go? Should I walk to the left or to the right? So different character, different way. And it depends to see how old that you want the lady to be, right? Or what about the witch? Can you please tell me, should I turn to the left or to the right, my dear? So it's different. So when you read and you narrate with a voice that you can hear, then you know whether it match or doesn't match with the character in the book. Now, talking about practice, besides you have to observe about your voice, your intonation, and so on. So it will be good for you, to get some audience, maybe your own children, okay, or your best friend, to ask them, okay, can you please listen? I'm going to narrate for you, and then any parts that you think that I should improvise. So you should start, narrate and to complete the whole story. But then again, if you get an audience to give you some feedback, so it will be good for you to have a very open-minded that, that people might give you a negative comment, and then I don't want that you between you and your friend like hurt the feeling like, okay, maybe your friend say, I think the part that you laugh, the witch is not that sounds like a witch, But when you heard about negative comment, then you feel upset and say, do you think it's so easy? It's so easy. You are going to narrate. Okay, you tell me the story now. So I don't want that thing to happen. But open with accept the comment with very, very open heart. Okay, so that can improvise yourself. If you don't want the audience, maybe you can try to narrate by recording using your handphone. You just read, and after that you hear again, and then you can choose which part which is not very smooth, and then you can improvise from there. And after you listen your recording, so these are the preparation that you need to do. Another thing is that try not to pause. Avoid every time pause, because the children don't like. They don't really like when you tell a story halfway. Okay, long time ago there was a little chick, and his name was Charlie or Mickey. Wait, Charlie. Hold on. So they don't like that. They want you to continue the story smoothly, okay? Smoothly, so it won't be pause over there, pause over here, okay? So these are the first the things that you have to look into. Now, next, number 3. Now, observe the text that appear in the storybook. Some of the text, the author used some rhyming word. So there's a way for them to rhyme at the end of the sentence. Some of it like 2 lines by 2 lines. So each line, the end, there's a rhyming word. So you have to read the line, try to form a rhythm and try to catch the rhythm, try to read the way that the illustrator or the author try to design. So for example, like brown bear, what did you see? So one of the very interesting, call it a classic picture book. Okay, also the line that each line of it rhyme, and then if you try to read that book with children, you find that okay, after some time, when you just narrate the first line, the children can continue the second line for you. Now, after this, I'll share with you this brown bear, what do you see? I'll narrate for you. Brown bear, what did you see? By Bill Martin Jr. and Eric Carl. Brown bear, what do you see? I see a red bird looking at me. Red bird, what do you see? I see a yellow duck looking at me. Yellow duck, what do you see? I see a blue horse looking at me. Blue horse, what do you see? I see a green frog looking at me. Green frog, what do you see? I see a purple cat looking at me. Purple cat, what do you see? I see a white dog looking at me. White dog, what do you see? I see a black sheep looking at me. Black sheep, what do you see? I see a goldfish looking at me. Goldfish, what do you see? I see a teacher looking at me. Teacher, teacher, what do you see? I see children looking at me. Children, children, what do you see? We see a brown bag, a red bird, a green frog, a black sheep, a goldfish, a yellow duck, a blue horse, a purple cat, a white dog, and a teacher looking at us. That's what we see. Yeah, so I hope that you understand what I mean about the narration, where you observe about the rhyming part of the picture book. So that, yeah, you can keep what the author designed for the picture book, and the children also can pick up very, very fast. So the next point is about when you want to start the read aloud session, so you can display the cover of the book and ask the children to predict what will be the content. Now, our modern time, traditional way is like, okay, today I'm going to share with you a story. The name of the story is Head, Body, Legs. Come repeat after me. Head, Body, Legs. Hello, listen to me. There was our time, okay, long time ago. But now we use different approach. We want the children to look at the cover and try to figure out what the story will be. What is it? Why? What are the words that might appear over here? As I told you just now, children reading development start from reading the pictures. So for them, words is not that important, but they like to see the pictures, the illustration, and try to interpret what is it about. So for this part, introducing the cover of the book, so it's very open. You can just ask them to predict what it's all about. Even the child say, I think it's about the hand that come out from the head. Yeah, we can accept it. Or maybe the head that roll and roll. Yeah. Or it's a doll, a story about a doll, the girl that pulled out of the body parts of the doll. Yeah, we can accept it. And just ask them to observe and see, okay, story. Sometimes we can also even facilitate, you can guide them. Look at this girl. This is a story about, look at this cover. Do you think this story is about a boy or a girl? A girl, okay. So how does the girl feeling now? Angry. Oh yes, angry. Now, can you tell me what might make this girl feel angry? I think something must have happened, right? What are the things that make this girl angry? So this is an open-ended question. So we just accept any question, any answer which is logic and suitable and related to this picture. Okay, then you can guide some of the children. Or any of you know how to read this word over here? Okay, now if some of them who are advanced, they can tell you, I know. When Sophie gets angry, really, really angry. Even you ask your child to read. Also, if they know, yeah, you can read. But as a teacher, when you use this method, remember, you have to highlight those children who are weak in reading. Every time, so only those advanced one can say, when Sophie gets angry, only Peter and Billy, and no other people. So give them a chance. For those who are weak in reading, maybe you lower down the level, make it simpler. For example, any of you know any letters that appear in the title of this book? The letter that I've taught you before. Maybe it's one of them. Raise hands. Teacher, I know this is E. Excellent, very good. So that's why when come to this part, you let the child who are not that good in reading also have a chance to shine, to have a chance to show that I can read the letters. don't always highlight those are very, very good. Those, we say the top students, okay? And again, if after you have asked them to predict the cover, so when you finish the story, maybe their prediction is not correct. At the end of the story, don't don't come back to here and don't come back here and say, what? Now you have heard the story, right? This is not about this. Okay, just now you answered that, right? Okay, that's not right. Wrong. And no, you're wrong. I tell you, if you do it that way, next time the children won't answer your question anymore. Next is when you start to read aloud to one of the children's picture book. Now you have to remember that you have to point your fingers to each of the words that you are reading. Why? To show the children that, okay, currently I'm reading this word and followed by this word and followed by this word. So when children see that and they will listen your narration, at the same time, they will look at the words. Now, I will demonstrate how do you read aloud this book by pointing it. And at the same time also from this narration, so you can see how I use my intonation or the narration where I put more emotion and also some interjection, so to make your narration lively. Try to avoid the monotone way of read aloud, because this will make the children feel boring and later on they will yawning. Okay, let's see. When Sophie gets angry, really, really angry, by Molly Bang. When Sophie gets angry, really, really angry. Sophie was busy playing when my turn. Her sister grabbed a gorilla. No, no, said Sophie. Yes, said her mother. It is her turn now, Sophie. As her sister snatched gorilla away, Sophie fell over the truck. Oh, is Sophie ever angry now? She kicks, she screams, she wants to smash the world to smithereens. Smash! She rolls a red, red roll. Ready to explode. And when Sophie gets angry, really, really angry, pum! She runs and runs and runs until she can't run anymore. Then, for a little while, she cries. Now she sees the rock. Now she sees the rocks, the trees and ferns. She hears a bird. She feels the breeze blow her hair. She watches the water and the wave. The wide world comforts her. Sophie feels better now. She climbs back down and heads for home. I'm home! The house is warm and smells good. Everyone is glad she's home. Everything's back together again. And Sophie isn't angry anymore. The So next tips I'm going to share with you is that you may pause for a while to check your child's interest and also to know how the child's progress in so-called read aloud storytelling session. By how? By asking them some question about what do you think this character feel now? Do you think that he's doing the right thing? And what do you think might happen next? So these are the questions you can actually to see whether the children are actually with you or not in the plot of the story. Now remember, when you pause, remember cannot pause too long. I think the best is just a few seconds. Why? Because once you pause too long, and then the children might lose interest of the story and might forget also what actually happened before you pause. So the best storytelling session is that you can tell the story at one shot. If you want to pause, you are only allowed to pause for just a few seconds with it. Now, the next tip is for you to check or to introduce any new vocabs or new terms that appear in the picture book. For example, furious. When you read up to furious, what is the meaning of furious? And also like enormous. So this kind of term or vocabs actually will help the children to understand better, and also at the same time they can master new vocab in their mind. So to what we call it in the development of the language development of the child, so this thing will enrich the vocab in their mind. So next time in the future when they want to do essay writing, okay, or storytelling, anything related to the language, so a lot of vocab is already fully kept inside here. So this will be very helpful. And of course, as a parent or as teacher, sometimes children might forgot the meaning of this word. You might already told them that, okay, last week we have done the spelling for this and that, or in the textbook, this would appear before, and sometimes parents or teachers who tends to like blaming the child, or asking them, how can you forget about this word? We have done last week spelling, right? We did it last week, right? So if this thing happened, so it's not a good sign, because at the end the children feel that you're using picture books to teach them language, like a tool to teach them language. But the main purpose for us to read aloud is to let them to bring them to the world of imagination, to understand the story, to feel the happiness, the sadness, any feeling that happened in the story. Same with the main character of the story. And then in this world of imagination, they can go through, can do anything that we can't do in the real world. So when the story finishes, they start to love this story and love this language. So this is the most important part. We don't do read aloud because of exam. Remember about this, okay? Remember about this. So the next tips will be, and I think is the most important tips that I want you to observe or want you to listen to know, is that you must keep the children engaged with your real read aloud session. How? For example, when you narrate the story, do not read like a robot and no feeling at all. Sometimes you can read it fast when the plot came to the suspense part. For example, so the plot like that night, Billy was so scared. He refused to close his eyes. He refused to fall asleep because he worried that the blanket thief will come and steal his blanket. However, 1 hour passed. He refused to close his eyes. Oh, no, 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 I don't want to sleep. I want to sleep. Another hour. His eyes. No, no, I don't want. But after a few hours, he felt very, very tired. And finally, his eyes. Suddenly, there was a noise. A wind blew. Come outside the window. Shh. Somebody opened the window. A black shadow hopped into his room. So, you see, so when you narrate a story, when you want to create a suspense or scary scene, so whatever words appear over there, you just read it softly and slowly. And of course, when you come to the part where, and when Billy turned over another side, he found that his blanket was gone. He saw one black shadow jump out through the window. He quickly climbed up to the window and said, "Blanket thief! Return my blanket to me!" He ran and chased after the blanket thief. See? So, with a shouting voice and speed of run, so children can actually feel how the main character feels. So this is the part that can engage children. Most important, what I'm trying to say is that put your feeling into the story and imagine that you are the character of the story. How would you like to say this word, or how are you going to narrate this part? So to make this plot of the story can engage children. Children feel like, I want to know what's happening, what is going to happen next. They want to follow and want to know the ending. So this is the part that you should try when the way to narrate the story. Sometimes you can pause for a while, sometimes you can read it fast, sometimes you can read it slow, sometimes you can read it loud, and sometimes you can just whisper. So it makes your read aloud session very, very interesting. And beside that, you may use the different character, you give them different voices. But don't spoil your throat, okay? We just play with the what we call like high pitch and low pitch. Now, normally for the character which is big size, for animal, for example, bear, so we can just bring down the voice like, "Hi, how are you? I'm Mr. Bear." Or for small size, then we put higher pitch. For example, little mouse. "Hi, how are you? I'm fine." So big body size and small body size. And for human character also, for people who are fat, "I don't want to friend with you, okay?" Or for adults, grandpa, grandma. So, "I don't want to friend with you." Or you want to sound like much older. "I don't want to friend with you, young man." And of course, for the young children, a baby or little boy, you can say, "I don't want to friend with you." So only high pitch and low pitch. You can portray a lot of different characters. And remember, once you decide to portray different character with different voices, so you must remember that you have to continue, you must continue up to the end of the story. Why? We don't want the children or the student get confused. Maybe you feel like halfway, "Oh, I can't stand anymore," and then you come back to your own voice, and then the children will be like, "Oh, lots of question mark." So try to continue and finish all the story up to the end of the story. Number 2, do not get confused with the voice and the character. Sometimes some storytellers or some teachers or some mummies or daddies, they will like forgot that, okay, this voice supposed to belongs to the witch and this voice belong to the mother. And then suddenly forgot to change, and then children ask, for example, like, then the mom asks, Billy, would you like to follow me? And the children say, Mom, Mommy, this one is witch or Billy's mommy? The children get confused. So remember, for the voice, you must remember this thing. Okay? So these are the tips for this point. And lastly, once you finish the read aloud storytelling sessions, so you can get feedback from your child or your audience or your student by asking them some question, some simple question. Basically, there are 3 levels of the question you can ask. Number 1, okay, you can ask them whether they understand the story or not, and the answer they can get it from the story that you told them. Like you say comprehension, okay? So you can ask, okay, who is Billy? What happened to Billy at that night? Did he manage to get back his blanket? So this is a first level question to see whether your children understand how much they understand about the story. And the second level we ask the children, we try to relate their own experience with the new thing that happened in the story. For example, like, did you ever lost your thing, or you realize that your thing is gone, the thing that you love and is gone? So what would you do? What happened to you that time? What do you do? Something like that. Okay. And or the third level is that, okay, do you like the ending? If you don't like the ending, what do you think the best ending that you think the story will end this way? So by having get feedback from children, actually first is to develop their conversation skill, the outcome. The other day I said input and output, right? So it's a time for them to say it out, okay, to express their idea, to make you understand what they try to say. Number 2, also we try to train the children to be more expressive. Whatever they in your mind, they're willing to share with us. And the last one, of course, for the children, we build up the self-confidence to answer any question. So they have their confidence to give you a very, very good answer. Or sometimes they don't agree with what you say, they might object with a solid point. So this is what we want from read aloud session. However, this part, especially we say get feedback part, is not as easy as we thought, because sometimes parents, children would tend to feel like, are you testing me? And then to save all the problem, they will say, I don't know. Right? So it will be difficult. So my suggestion to parents or teachers is that, okay, no matter what the children answer, maybe they say they don't know, they don't want, or whatever, but you say the answer. You tell them the answer by yourself. Okay? Ask for example, for mommy, I think this character, or for teacher saying, okay, this behavior is not right because what? And by happen that you are the first one who express, the children feel like, okay, you are not really testing me. You want to share your opinion or your thinking with me. So that is a good start if the children refuse to answer. Okay? So remember, don't force them to answer, because once you force them to answer, and then they feel like, okay, I have to be here for your read aloud session, and then I must answer all your questions. If I answer wrongly, then I will get scolded by you. And next time when you ask your student or your children for a read aloud session, they will say, Mommy, I'm like a stomach ache, or I'm sleepy, I want to sleep. They will give you a lot of excuse. So the successful read aloud session is that you enjoy telling the story and the children. And next tips will be modulate your voice. Now, when you read the text from the picture book, now remind yourself, do not keep your voice just between one pitch. Like what people say, monotone. For example, like we come to this page, the picture book that I from Margaret McDonald, Little Rooster's Diamond Button. So now we look at the picture over here. The king was really angry. Like he really mad, right? So now you have to narrate the story more natural, but not like this. Let me read for all of you. Little rooster flew back to the king's palace. Cook-a-doodle-doo, cook-a-doodle-doo. Give me back my diamond button. The king was infuriated. Sound funny, right? And some more. Look here. The infuriated was written all uppercase. So, what was the reason the author purposely write that word in uppercase? It's because to emphasize that that time the king was really angry. So when you narrate this part of the story, never ever use the way that I show you just now. And sooner or later, they'll fall asleep. So you have to be more nature in the nature way. So you have to look at the illustration and try to understand the feeling, emotion. And we call it the situation, the atmosphere at the time. And of course, you cannot use the monotone way. Little rooster flew back to the king's palace. Cock-a-doodle-doo! Cock-a-doodle-doo! Give me back my diamond button! The king was infuriated. You get to understand? Infuriated must be angry. And try to relate this word and this illustration. That's why I say, like before just now, that children, they absorb and pick up the language, the input, the way you narrate, the way you tell the story, and the way they understand the meaning of this word related to this picture, so they know the new vocab that they have seen today means very angry. So next time when they speak, the word may come out from the mouth. So remember, no story, monotone. Some of you might ask me, how can I improvise my monotone problem when I narrate the story? So one of the ways is that you have to be more alert, especially your senses of hearing. Try to read like the one we see. Okay, ebook. You can just listen, and when they speak the word loud, and when they speak the word softly, which part of the story they make the tempo faster, and which part of the story they speak it slowly, slower, slowest. And observe how they pronounce certain words. And so this will be really helpful. Another thing is that you can also watch the animation tune. See how the character talking to each other. Sometimes you try to portray that way and put it into the character of the story using the cartoon way of talking. You can actually attract them. They'll feel that it's funny. lively. So they want to look at you and want to listen to the story and to know what happened next. Now we have come to the second part of the video. Now this is a part where I'm going to share with you additional tips when you do read aloud. And you might realize that I look a little bit different from the previous recording. It's because this part of the video, we get it done in later day. And also I have decided to add some more tips or to share some more tips with all of you. So next extra tips, I call it look ahead. Now, when you start to narrate or to read the line in the storybook, in the picture book, so you will read one line by one line. However, when you are reading from the first line, although your mouth is still narrating the first line, your eyes must start to browse the second line. Why? This is because to get yourself ready for the next line. If the next line is a conversation, a dialogue, so you have to find out who will be the one who talk, and then how are you going to say the word, and what kind of emotion that character will be, or what the way, is there any special way for you to say something for that special character? Then you proceed to the second line, then your eyes will start browsing for the third line, so that you can control the flow of the story better. Don't rush, no need to rush, just slowly one line by one line. And sometimes you must observe if the next extra tips I'm going to share with you, I call it look ahead. Now, when you start to narrate the storybook or the picture book line by line, especially when you start reading the first line, your mouth is still reading the first line, but your eyes must start browsing the second line. Try to see what is going to happen next. If the second line is a conversation, a dialogue, so you need to very fast find out who will be the next character that speak, and how is that character going to speak, and what kind of emotion the character have that moment, because the emotion affect the way how they speak. For example, like when the character is in fear, so you can speak, oh, no, 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 no. If the character is like in anger, angry, then you can be, and if that character is timid, then you can use a very soft sound. I'm lost. So when you browse the second line, all this time, all this action actually gives you a little bit extra time to get yourself ready to portray next character or to read the second line. And remember, when you do read aloud with children or your student, do not take that session as something like a language class and just basically ask them to recognize the letters and force them to drill them to repeat again and again and again. Then the children will lose interest very, very fast, because they feel that you use this as a tool to drill their language. In fact, by narrating in by narrating in the nature way and interesting way, will attract the children start to observe and see the words and want to know what is the meaning of the new words, you can attract and we say and how inculcate their interest in the language. That's why in previous recording I told you that when you narrate the ebook, you do it slowly. Partly is because to give yourself some space or some time to get ready to narrate the second line. And another reason also to let the audience or the student or the children have some time to digest, to understand what you're talking about. Now, another thing that you have to make your look ahead skill improve better or more skillful is that when you browse, you try to observe the dialogue format. For example, like all the dialogue start with the open and close inverted comma. And that was the part for the dialogue, right? So yeah, when you browse through, so you quickly focus on those parts. Then you know that is the part where you need to portray the character. And try to find some keyword. Angrily, softly, yell. And all these keywords will give you instant reaction. And then you will know how to react when you portray the character. Now, don't worry. Just practice, okay? It's not that difficult as you imagine. Just you need more practice, okay? When you practice more, then everything will go smooth. And sometimes happen to me as well. You know, when I'm reading too fast or I'm telling too fast, okay? So when I come back to the second line, I'm supposed to use the very soft or timid voice, and then I straight away use the very, very rough and like angry voice, and yeah, so it was funny. And sometimes also, like for example, that when you look at the line, so you thought that the first line is ending there, but actually the full stop is on second line. So the intonation, so the tone is like very awkward, especially when you come to the end of the first line. So you will already start to like tune down. And then suddenly, oh my, another two words over here. So yeah, it might happen from time to time. So most important is that you get familiar with the books, get familiar with the text, so everything will be fine. Okay. Now I'm going to demonstrate to all of you how am I going to narrate this picture book, The Witch Children by Ursula Jones and Russell Ito. Now, as I say, when we read aloud, the most important thing is our intonation and also the feeling when you read the sentence. The witch children came to the pond. Gemma was sailing her boat. The wind blew and blew. It blew the boat over. Oh no! Shouted Gemma. Who will save my little boat from sinking? I will, said the eldest one. And he changed Gemma. Into a frog. Now, if you observe the way I narrate, so of course, I read it slowly, one word by one word, and not purposely hammer ending sound. And because I want my audience to listen the words clearly. And some part of the sentence I use a special, there's some changes of the intonation. For example, like you see, sometimes the printed appearance actually give you some clue how to read it. Now in this book, so if you look at the page that I've scanned, So this part, the wind blew and it blew the boat over. So some of the letter is like italic, slanting this side. Some of the letters italic, slanting this side. So actually, it also shows that the wind blowing the words up to this side, and then the wind blowing this way again. So that means the boat is not stable. So when you read this, so you try to read it differently to show that this boat actually now is not stable. And when come to this part, now, when the word oh no is getting bigger, it's bigger than others. So that means the author try to emphasize this word. That means it could be either the author want to highlight this word, or in this case, like this character, the girl is shouting. She say these two words very, very loud. Oh no! That's why when you read, don't read as oh no. Now, if you just narrate it as like a reading newspaper, like no feeling at all, so without all this kind of emotion inside that, so it would sound like this, yeah? The witch children came to the pond. Genma was sailing her boat. The wind blew and blew. It blew the boat over. Oh no, shouted Genma. Who will save my little boat from sinking? I will, said the eldest one, and he changed Genma into a frog. Sounds funny, right? Yeah. So that's what I meant when you narrate or you read aloud. So you must put your emotion in, and then you must take care of your intonation and take care of the speed of reading, not too fast and not too slow. And try to imagine that you are one of the character and try to portray and try to understand the feeling. And then when you can master the feeling or can understand the feeling well, then the word or the way you're talking, it will reflect that character or the emotion that the character have at that time. And finally, it will make your read aloud session become interesting, and children will engage to your session. Now, after you practice many times the skill of look ahead, so later on you will come to record it. You will be like you will master the skill very, very well. Okay, so when you come to that stage, so very automatically when you read the line by line, so especially when you detect the word that you're going to read in the text. So for myself, I will also scan through the text, okay, carefully, because sometimes there are some of the word which is not really suit with our culture, or some of the word that I think is not suitable for in teaching, okay. So like for example, like the word I hate you, hate. I think in Western society, so hate is something like very normal when they say I'm angry with somebody. But in Asian, hate is something that which is very strong, is stronger than dislike. So when it comes to this part of the words, then although sometimes people say we have to respect the author, okay, but for me, as an educator, so I will do some simple some changes on this, because we are not allowed to use negative word when you teach children or work with children. For example, if some children are very lazy, you say you're very lazy, or some children love to talk, you say you're talkative. Why? Because whatever words or vocabs that we use with them or to them, so later on, like before just now, before in the previous earlier part in the recording, I told you that the children, when pick up language. So this is the input and this is the output, remember, through the senses. So whatever language or words or vocabulary you use with them, so finally it will come up as an outcome and they will use it as part of their language. So if we want to I want our children to have a better language development, of course, we give them a lot of beautiful and nice words. Try to avoid those inappropriate words. Okay? So this is one of the things that you have to observe. Don't overlook this thing. So continue from here, especially when you practice read aloud for dialogue. Now, I would like to share with you a little bit extra that when you practice to narrate the read aloud, especially come to the dialogue. So do not just use your mind and then, like just imagine that, okay, okay, I'm done. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to really say it out and as loud as possible. Because sometimes you have to see that, okay, the voice that you use for this character doesn't match or not. And as I said previously, I say when the small size body animals or young children, we use a high pitch voice, okay, high pitch voice, without the big body size, okay, and old people, we use the low pitch voice. So yeah, then sometimes we come to the part that maybe we want to call for help, and we have to see whether, okay, does that kind of screaming really reflect the situation? Or help, help, help! Or the bear lie down on the floor. Some blood. Help, help. Or in cheeky way, help, 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 can you help me? So that's why you have to really say it out, even cry. Oh, no. Or I want my mommy. Or all these are different level of crying. So that's why you have to make the sound out. If not, during that time, that session, then only you start to voice it out. Sometimes it will happen very awkward, especially the way that you make the sound effect, it doesn't match with the situation. So it's going to be very, very funny. Yeah. So yeah, do not just keep everything inside here. Now, if you and then for practice, it will be good for you to get somebody to listen for you. If not, you just take your handphone and then just record your voice, and then you listen back again. Whether your pronunciation, is it clear or not? Is it loud enough or too loud? And all the audience, oh my goodness. Okay, so you have to adjust up to the suitable, appropriate level. So you can use your handphone to record down, or when you're driving also can, and then just put your handphone aside and then record it. Or if you have your own children, can ask them to be your audience. Of course, your friends or your husband, your wife also can be your audience. But if you ask somebody to be your so-called the audience and then give you comment, give you feedback, now you have to receive their critics or their comment with open heart. Because some people, they cannot accept it. So if you cannot accept it, then don't use that way. Or else, anytime, any moment, when you finish practice your story, at the end you will say, okay, you think so easy? If so easy, okay, fine. Come. You narrate for me. Oh, At the end, both of them quarrel and not happy. So we want to see something like that happen. Okay? Yeah. So that's all about look ahead. Now, the additional tips that I'm going to share with you, I call it audience attention. When you decided to conduct a read aloud session, no matter you are teachers or you are parents, actually you play a very important role. Just like in the movie, you are the main actor or actress. When it comes to the making a movie, so we have everything get ready and done for you. The script, and then even the setting, the lightings, the audio recording, and even makeup artist, and even the costume, everything is done for you. So what you need to do is that you have to make the plot or the story alive, so that when audience watch the movie, they can feel what actually the director want the audience to feel. Now, when come to the read aloud session, so the same thing happened like just now I say about the movie. Everything was prepared for you. The publisher already printed the book, and then the author already written the text for you, and the illustrator already illustrated very beautiful pictures for you. So your job is to lead the children, not only read, but to discover what message that the author try to let the audience know. And is there any other things that he want the audience to know? And also lead the children to discover the beautiful part of the language, or we call it literature, in this so-called the picture book, and also anything that might let the children think or reflect on themselves. So read aloud over here is not just we take it like a reader, read line by line. We want the children know what's the meaning of the word. We want the children know how to spell that word. That's it. No, that is not read aloud. Read aloud is far more beyond than we call it teaching language. Now, because of this, now, when come to the session where you conduct the read aloud session, so there are a few things you have to observe. Now, some children might feel boring. They will do something funny, or some children that you know, including myself, they might sit in front of you on the ground, and then when they start feel boring, they'll start to play with their friend's hair, and then they even like scratch their hair, and even some of you, they will like doing funny sound. And sometimes when the funny sound or give the funny answer, will get a very good laugh from the friends. So they will do it again and again. I call it this kind of thing with contagious things, and the whole thing that might affect your read aloud session. So this is the time where you must know how to get the audience attention. You are the one, you are the teachers, or you are the parents who conduct the read aloud session. So you must have this ability to control them, to engage them, to get their attention. Now, you must remember, before things happen up to this stage, like what I mentioned just now, when you are doing the read aloud session, actually the audience, from time to time, they give you some sign, some symptom, I call it. How? What kind of symptom? Now, for example, now, let's say I'm sitting that way, okay? Now, if you are standing over there, or the storyteller or teachers standing over there, or parents are standing over there. So from the children's body language, you can know whether you manage to engage them or not. Now, if the children or student sitting like this, where the body is getting nearer and nearer or leaning forward like this, that means you are doing a good job. You manage to engage them, to get their attention. But if the student or the children, their body is moving slowly, moving backward, where first they put their hand to the back and then stretch their feet and then start to scratch their hair, then you have to be aware of this. You need to do something to get their attention. You need to get something. You need to do something to change the situation. But how? You can make your read aloud more lively. You can make some sound effect. Even when you read, the intonation, you can be louder, faster, depends. Remember that just now I said, if you continue monotone and then you just ignore that, and then things will lose control. Besides, just now I say the body language tell you, and then I myself came across a scenario like this when you are holding a book or a picture book or a storybook, and then you tell the story halfway, and then suddenly you realize that there was one little hand, tiny hand, try to help you to flip the page. So what does that mean? Doesn't mean that the child is very naughty, but it means that the child is trying to send you a message and tell you that, can you please turn to next page? It's very, very boring now. I feel very, very boring. So you must understand all these things put together is a sign to tell you that, okay, you need to change your tempo or your style to get their attention. Now, of course, this is your session. You are the one in charge. You have your right to stop the session if everything lost control. Maybe some of them already start standing up and spinning and fighting or something like that. So just stop it, okay? But when you stop, of course, there is a way. Now, you can pause for a while and get the child to talk for a while, okay? Bring him to the corner and talk, explain to him or give him warning. And then after that, ask the child to come back to join the group. And if still happen again, then you can pause and you can discipline the child using we call time out way. Now, time out means you let the children stop joining this session and ask him to he or she to sit on the thinking chair. So for a few minutes now, and then only join your activity. But how long? How many minutes? It's according to their age. If they're 4 years old, so let them sit 4 minutes. If they're 5 years old, sit 5 minutes. And after that, allow them to join. Do not or never ever ask the children to sit outside the classroom or outside this compound, because every child, they have their right to attend your session. Never get them to out from your eyesight, because what happens if the child run away by themselves? Then you'll be in big trouble. So no matter how, the child must be in your supervision, in your eyes supervision. You can see what actually he was doing. Now, the additional tips that I'm going to share with you, I call it audience attention. When you decided to conduct a read aloud session, no matter you are teachers or you are parents, actually you play a very important role. Just like in the movie, you are the main actor or actress. when it comes to the making a movie, so we have everything get ready and done for you. The script, and then even the setting, the lightings, the audio recording, and even makeup artist, and even the costume. Everything is done for you. So what you need to do is that you have to make the plot or the story alive, so that when audience watch the movie, they can feel what actually the director want the audience to feel. Now, when come to the read aloud session, so the same thing happened like just now I say about the movie. Everything was prepared for you. The publisher already printed the book, and then the author already written the text for you, and the illustrator already illustrated very beautiful pictures for you. So your job is to lead the children, not only read, but to discover what message that the author try to let the audience know. And is there any other things that he want the audience to know? And also lead the children to discover the beautiful part of the language, or we call it literature, in this so-called the picture book, and also anything that might let the children think or reflect on themselves. So read aloud over here is not just we take it like a reader, read line by line. We want the children know what's the meaning of the word. We want the children know how to spell that word. That's it. No, that is not read aloud. Read aloud is far more beyond than we call it teaching language. Now, because of this, now, when come to the session where you conduct the read aloud session, so there are a few things you have to observe. Now, some children might feel boring. They will do something funny, or some children that you know, including myself, they might sit in front of you on the ground, and then when they start feel boring, they'll start to play with their friend's hair, and then they even like scratch their hair, and even some of you, they will like doing funny sound. And sometimes when the funny sound or give the funny answer, will get a very good laugh from the friends. So they will do it again and again. I call it this kind of thing with contagious things, and the whole thing that might affect your read aloud session. So this is the time where you must know how to get the audience attention. You are the one, you are the teachers, or you are the parents who conduct the read aloud session. So you must have this ability to control them, to engage them, to get their attention. Now, you must remember, before things happen up to this stage, like what I mentioned just now, when you are doing the read aloud session, actually the audience, from time to time, they give you some sign, some symptom, I call it. How? What kind of symptom? Now, for example, now let's say I'm sitting that way, okay? Now, if you are standing over there, or the storyteller or teachers standing over there, or parents are standing over there. So from the children's body language, you can know whether you manage to engage them or not. Now, if the children or student sitting like this, where the body is getting nearer and nearer, or leaning forward like this, that means you are doing a good job. You manage to engage them, to get their attention. But if the student or the children, their body is moving slowly, moving backward, where first they put their hand to the back, and then stretch their feet, and then start to scratch their hair, then you have to be aware of this. You need to do something to get their attention. You need to get something. You need to do something to change the situation. But how? You can make you can make your read aloud more lively. You can make some sound effect even when you read. The intonation, you can be louder, faster. Depends. Remember that that just now I said, if you continue monotone and then you just ignore that, and then things will lose control. Besides, just now I say the body language tell you, and then I myself came across a scenario like this when you are holding a book or a picture book or a storybook, and then you tell the story halfway, and then suddenly you realize that there was one little hand, tiny hand, try to help you to flip the page. So what does that mean? Doesn't mean that the child is very naughty, but it means that the child is trying to send you a message and tell you that, can you please turn to next page? It's very, very boring now. I feel very, very boring. So you must understand all these things put together is a sign to tell you that, okay, you need to change your tempo or your style to get their attention. Now, of course, this is your session. You are the one in charge. You have your right to stop the session if everything lost control. Maybe some of them already start standing up and spinning and fighting or something like that. So just stop it, okay? But when you stop, of course, there is a way. Now, you can pause for a while and get the child to talk for a while, okay? Bring him to the corner and talk. Explain to him or give him warning, and then after that ask the child to come back to join the group. And if still happen again, then you can pause and you can discipline the child using we call time out way. Now time out means you let the children stop joining this session and ask him to or she to sit on the thinking chair, so for a few minutes now, and then only join your activity. But how long? How many minutes? It's according to their age. If they're 4 years old, so let them sit 4 minutes. If they're 5 years old, sit 5 minutes. And after that, allow them to join. Do not or never ever ask the children to sit outside the classroom or outside this compound, because every child, they have their right to attend your session. Never get them to out from your eyesight, because what happens if the child run away by themselves? Then you'll be in big trouble. So no matter how, the child must be in your supervision, in your eyes supervision. You can see what actually he was doing. And when everything is getting better, then you can start again your read aloud session. I didn't mention that you can stop or pause or cancel your read aloud session, but never ever this way. Okay, enough. I'm not going to tell the never ever this way. Smash the book onto the table. Okay, enough. That's all. I'm not going to conduct the read aloud session. That's all. That's all. Finish. Now, that's all. The end. No, never ever do that. Why? Because read aloud session supposed to be a pleasure time, a time that everybody enjoy. So don't let the children feel fear to attend your session and feel the anger. You can make yourself look sad and disappointed. And then after that, tell the children that you're feeling that I'm very disappointed that we cannot continue with this story. Don't let the children have the wrong impression on your read aloud session. Now, to next next extra tips I would like to share with all of you is that now the text or the book, the children book that you want to narrate or you want to read aloud for your children or your student, it has to be number one, the book that you like. Nobody enjoy doing something that you don't like, okay? If you, because when something that you don't like, you force yourself to read it, then you will be, you cannot really go into the story, and then you feel the suffering, you're suffering, okay? You, so this is torturing for yourself. Don't do that. And then this kind of feeling, yeah, the audience can feel it, okay? So avoid this kind of the books. And number two is that, okay, the book that you're familiar. Start, especially for those beginners. So start with the book that you're familiar with, and then it will be easier for you to conduct the session. Why? Because you see, if you know the story well, so you know how many character, and then how are you going to portray the character, and then the intonation when they talk, and which part of the story they have to whisper, which part of the story they have to shout. Okay, so and then you have to remember the plot as well. So if the story that you are not familiar, something very, very new for you, it could be too challenging for you and can be end up become disastrous. Okay, so and then end up another part is that, okay, you are not familiar with the story, and you have to observe so many characters, who is going to talk to who next, who come out, and then when they are going to fight and quarrel and etc. How are you going to narrate the part and this part to make it lively? How are you going to portray the character with the changes of the sound? So all these will make you panic sometimes, especially a story that the plot which is complicated and that you are not familiar with it. So choose a book that you feel familiar and then you feel comfortable. Now open the book and read few times, because you are going to read aloud. So remember, you have to read aloud for yourself, and you can hear your voice whether it's suitable or not suitable, because when you read aloud, you have to observe the intonation, the character, and we say the high peak or low peak. So you have to observe all these, because this element when you put together, so it will become a very, very pleasure session of read aloud session. Okay, so this will be the last tip that I'm sharing. I would like to share with you. So I hope that in the future, so you will continue read aloud with your student, with your children, with anybody. Okay, so that they can enjoy the content of the picture book, the content of the storybook, and then from here we also inculcate the habit of reading for our children. Okay, so that's all from me, Kok Keong, the storyteller from Malaysia. See you again. Bye-bye.
And lastly, I would like to share with all of you one of my favorite story, Rama and the Demon King, using read aloud technique. Hope you enjoy it. An ancient tale from India, Rama and the Demon King, retold and illustrated by Jessica Sohaimi. This is a story of a brave and a good prince called Rama, who should have been the happiest of men. After all, he was the king's favorite son. He had a dear wife called Sita, and He had the best of friends in his brother, Lashman. And all the people in the kingdom loved him. Well, all but one. And that was his jealous stepmother. She hated Rama, and she planned to get rid of him forever. So she set a trap. Rama's wicked stepmother went to the king. Long ago, she said, I saved your life, and you promised to grant me any wish. Now I want you to send Rama to the forest for 14 years. The king was horrified. The forest was full of terrible demons. But what could he do? A king must keep his promise. With a broken heart, he sent Rama away. But Sita and Lashman would not let Rama go alone. So that very days, all three left the palace to face the dangers of the forest together. In the forest, news of Rama exile spread fast. The demons hated anyone good, and they were spoiling for a fight. As soon as Rama, Sita, and Lashman appeared, the demons attacked them gleefully. But both princes were brilliant fighters. They fought back bravely and killed thousands of demons until at last there was a peace in the forest. Rama, Sita, and Lashman built a house, gathered fruit and berries for food, and lived a quiet and simple life among the forest animals. But it was not to last. Far away in a magnificent palace on the island of Lanka lived Ravana, the 10-headed king of the demons. He was evil and proud. No one can defeat me, he boasted. No one is stronger than me. No one knows as much magic. He smiled 10 horrible smiles. One day, a messenger arrived from India and told Ravana how Rama and Lashman had killed thousands of his demons. What? His 10 mouth screeched, and he quivered with rage. Ravana leaped into his magic chariot and flew to India. There he hid in a tree, ready to pounce on Rama and Lashman. But when he caught sight of Sita, he stopped short, dazzled by her beauty. Oh, she must be my queen, he muttered. I will steal her from Rama and leave him broken-hearted. Serve him right for killing my demons. And his 10 brains buzzed with evil schemes. This is what Ravana did. He sent a magic deer into the forest, a golden creature which enchanted Sita. Whenever she tried to stroke it, it moved just out of reach. Rama offered to catch it for her. Lashman, he said, look after Sita while I'm gone. There may still be demons about. And he followed the deer until they both disappeared from the view. All was quiet. Suddenly, Sita and Lakshman heard a cry. Help! Help me! Lakshman, help me! It sounded just like Rama. Now, what should Lakshman do? He could not look for Rama. He had to protect Sita. But Sita said, Leave me, Lakshman, and rescue Rama. I'm safe here. Hurry! Then Lakshman ran as fast as he could towards the voice. But of course, it was not Rama calling. It was a friendly streak of Ravana's. And now Sita was alone. Wicked Ravana swooped down and carried her off in his magic chariot. Meanwhile, Lakshman found Rama unhurt. With horror, the brothers realized they had been tricked. They raced back to Sita, but she was gone. Rama was desolate. The two brothers looked all over India for Sita. Their search seemed hopeless. Then one day, they came to the land of monkeys. There they met Hanuman, the leader of monkeys' army, and told him their story. Oh, Ravana has taken Sita, said Hanuman. We saw them flying towards his palace on the island of Lanka. But how can we reach her? Asked Rama. The sea around Lanka is full of monsters. I think I can help you, said Hanuman. My father is Vayu, the wind god, and so I can fly like the wind. I will find Sita for you. Rama and Lakshman were astonished. Take my ring, said Rama. When you find Sita, give it to her, so she will know I sent you. Take my ring, said Rama. When you find Sita, give it to her, so she will know I sent you. Good luck! And Hanuman flew across the treacherous sea to Lanka. Hanuman found Sita imprisoned in Ravana's garden. He gave her Rama's ring. Oh, I'm so glad to see you, she cried. I've refused to become Ravana's queen. If I don't change my mind, he said he will chop me into little pieces and eat me up for breakfast. Be brave, Sita, whispered Hanuman. We will be back for you soon. Hanuman returned to Rama with his news, and the monkeys' army prepared for battle. They began by building an amazing bridge which stretched right across the sea from India to Lanka. Then the army, led by Rama, Lakshman, and Hanuman, marched across. Ravana's demon army was waiting for them on Lanka, and terrible battle began. The demons tried all their evil tricks. Some used magic arrows that turned into poisonous snakes. Some became invisibles. Others moved at the speed of light. But Rama, Lakshman, and the monkey army stood firm. And after many days of fierce fighting, the demons were defeated. But then, Ravana appeared, his 20 eyes blazing. Ha! Rama! He sneered. You know you cannot beat me. Rama was silent. He slowly raised his bow and released a magic arrow. It found its own way to Ravana. It pierced his evil body. Wana was there. Rama and Sita were reunited and they returned to India. Sadness overshadowed the land, for Rama's father had died of grief on the day they left the palace. But now, people rejoiced that Rama was home. Rama was made king with Sita, his queen. The celebrations lasted for a whole month. Even the stepmother who had plotted against Rama was invited. Rama ruled wisely and well. The land became fruitful, and at last the kingdom was free from all evil. The end.
Thank you very much for an interesting workshop. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up our afternoon session. I would like to remind to all participants, please do not forget to submit the evaluation form. Thank you very much for your participation in this session. We do hope you enjoy and able to gain as much knowledge as possible. With that, on behalf of the National Library of Malaysia, we would like to extend sincere appreciation and gratitude to all individuals and organizations for their kind support and cooperation toward the success of this festival. Don't forget our next session tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thank you for watching and please stay tuned with us. Assalamualaikum.